Library. How can I help you out today? Alrighty. I'm sure you're aware of the nature of what you're asking me, right? Alright, that's good to hear. I am a bit of a goon expert myself. A goon spurt, if you will. I've been around the block for a couple years now. I know some of these names. Now, for you who is just logging into Twitter or X for the first time ever, I'm here to guide you on your gooning experience. Now, I know that might sound ridiculous and over dramatic, but in the sea of today's high quality goon animation, I think it is pretty important to know who these names are so you can support them in the future, or not. I wouldn't suggest buying someone's Patreon, but these special artists put so much effort into their quality. I think that it has to be talked about. I don't know how many people have talked about this, so I will be the first, and you will be the first to get this information. So welcome to our first lesson on gooning. Number 1. Today we'll be talking about our GOAT, Maplestar. Mini round of applause for Maplestar. Now, assuming you don't know, assuming you're over the age of 18, minors please leave. Shoot. Maplestar, he does make X-rated animations for popular animated series such as Chainsaw Man or Jujutsu Kaisen. He makes I say long form, but he makes high quality animations that rival the honest to God animation. If you don't know, this isn't concrete, but let me out. He has a team, and he even has Genga, which is the cell, which the shading, before the final bits are put together, before the coloring. Sorry. His animations usually range from 3 to 5 minutes. I want to say a bit longer. Some of the most popular ones are the recent one, the 8-minute Rize animation with Tenji, the Nobora X UG one, which has multiple parts. Now, if you're asking how I acquired this information, it's just about being around town. At this point, his reposts and posts have gotten so many likes to the point where it's no longer even underground. I'm sure if you showed someone a video, they might. Oh, I think we have a guest at the door who's interested about gooning. Let's let him in. Hey, welcome in. Hey, sit down. You can join our conversation, actually. We're talking about Maplestar. Oh, that's pretty interesting that you know that. You shouldn't, but I'm glad you do. You can aid in our conversation. Essentially, I'm giving our newcomer here the breakdown on our top goon animators of the current 2026 Olympics ceremony. Rize Animation has had a motherfucker on a chokehold. I'm not gonna lie about it. That's actually why we have Rize in the background as we speak. Now, I do actually want to talk a little more about contenders. Okay. The reason why we're talking about this is because, like I said, the quality of gooning has gone up so much to the point where we're getting higher quality animation than some of the shows themselves. I can't name some of these artists on the top of my head. Their usernames are hard to pronounce. But someone like, I don't know, Great Mate or something, SFM, he used to make, he still makes animations mainly about My Hero. It's kind of crazy to see, like, even his production quality go up in the years. Or someone like, I know their names, or I can imagine it, but without actually saying their, or having their Twitter bios on standby, I can't bring them up. But I think that he does, I think Maplestar and others like him do bring up a question. At what point is it too much? You know, like, do we really need these full, high quality animations, fully voice acted and subbed, by the way? Which is insane to have a dub sub voiceover, if that makes sense. A Japanese dub voiceover. There you go. Don't be autistic. Sorry, intermission. But yes, I think he asked the question, is it worth this much time, effort, when you could put this much animation into something else? I don't really know the answer to that, because here's my professional opinion. Alright, sit down, we're gonna yap a little more. Hopefully you're falling asleep. And if you are, wake up. But I think that we are reaching a point where I think it's getting out of hand. I think this quality of animation is actually too much. I think there should be a bit of a sense of irony, almost like in the early 2000s with like the Ball Knowledge, the Teen Titans animations, you know. They were obviously worse than the show's quality, being made by a handful of people, but good enough to where, you know, it felt like it was from the show. Some of these animations are genuinely better than the show. Like, the first two that come to my mind are the Jujutsu Kaisen ones and the Rize one, the recent one. And there's more, but those two are the most prominent in my mind. Some of the Dress Up Darling ones, that's another recent one he dropped. The shading, like I said, the color script, the angles, like, I get why though, because they're allowed to be free with that. You know, the porn community is a little bit of I wouldn't say uncharted waters, but some gray areas, you know. And I agree that the animation industry, if he tried to take those talents and put them somewhere else, it more likely than not would not work out. Like, he couldn't recreate that same quality of animation without, you know, without the free, like, as to be more specific, it's a freelancing of it, if you will. It's just like professional freelancing, you know. He gets a group of people, creates these high quality animations. They don't have a time limit, a rush per se. You know, things are calm in the production, where if he went to, let's say, Disney, he would have had half the time to create double the length. You feel what I'm saying? So I understand why it's almost like a rebellion, if you will. Like, if we can't put our talents to work, we're going to do it somewhere else. And ultimately, that's where it's at. You know, there's no denying that there isn't money in the industry right now. OnlyFans is proof of that on the regular side, if you will. That sounds like